There are two things that you'll learn about me in this video. 1. I do not like to code. 2. I'm a hypocrite. If you happen to be a Twitch affiliate, when you go to your stream manager, under quick actions, you'll have access to the Twitch sub goal. Now it can be follower goal, subscription goal, bit goal, or the plus program. The way it works is very simple. You set up a goal amount, start the goal, and then you can add this widget to your OBS studio via a browser source. You copy the link, add a new source, browser, paste the link, set up the size, and there you go. All right, maybe too thin. Now, of course, this will update automatically and this bar will basically fill until you reach the goal. Now, this isn't my first video on the subject. I already made this video called Twitch Sub Goal Bar, how to customize it in OBS Studio. I basically showed you how you can use code to do all sorts of cool things, make it animated, round the corners, and also how to create animated graphics to put on top of it. Anyways, one thing I've always wanted was to have a circular one, but I really don't want to learn CSS. So I decided to ask the man, the myth, the legend himself, Exeldro, to add an effect called polar coordinates to his shader filter plugin. I knew about this effect because I do motion design, and when I wanted to take a linear audio visualizer and turn it into a circular one, that's exactly what I'd use. And he did. So let's start from the beginning. This is the part where I call myself a hypocrite, because after copying the code here, before putting it in OBS, I actually opened it in a new tab, and of course it looks horrible. I then press F12 to bring up the inspector. This is going to help us figure out the names of each part so we can decide what we want to keep, what we want to delete, etc. Now don't click away yet. I will make sure that in the description I will have some resource that basically gives you all this information so that you don't have to go through all the research there. My goal here is just to explain my process. By clicking on inspect element here, I can now click on any part and it will tell me the code. As you can see, this one is goal_widget __ image. And at the bottom here, we have an example of how the CSS would look. So if you're not super familiar with CSS, you have an idea of the format. The different sections will start with a period, the name, squiggly line open, and then the specific options. I'm going to put a color source so this is more visible. I'm going to adjust the size of the goal bar so we have more details. I double click on it. I'm going to put 1100 by 100. Control D to center. Double click on goal again. And right there in OBS, this is where you put your custom CSS. Now, as you can see, there is a black border around the whole goal. Let's say that we want to get rid of that. We would go here, figure out which part has the border. Now I know it's the whole thing. So in this case, it's going to be called goal_widget. Right there. So back in OBS, I can do the correct CSS format. So period, goal_widget, open up squiggly line, go down. And now we need to figure out what's the CSS code for border. Honestly, just Google that stuff. You type CSS border and you'll see W3 school. And this will give you all the information that you need for every property that you need. In our case, we want to get rid of the border. And we can see that one of the options is hidden. So border style is the property and then hidden is what we need. And it's going to be written something like this, or border style none. Now brace yourself because we're going to be thrown a curveball. Border style none, semicolon, and then we're going to end the squiggly line. I know all the CSS professionals are watching this cringing right now. I have limited knowledge about it and I'm still trying to share. So if you have any tips, please leave them in the comments. So now let's click OK and let's see if that black border disappears. And you can see it doesn't. So that's the curveball I was talking about. In order to overwrite Twitch's code basically for certain properties, you can add an exclamation mark important right before the semicolon. Now if you click OK, you can see that the border disappeared. Alright, so that's the principle on how to inject custom CSS through OBS. Now I can just show you results. So at the bottom here, we have the normal Twitch one. In the middle, there's the one without border. So goal border, and you see our CSS code here. Then here, with every information hidden. Let me bring that up. This one has more lines. Goal widget, no border. So border style none. Goal widget image, display none. That basically doesn't display that little logo that Twitch has. Super annoying. And then goal widget metadata is all of the text. Now, if you want, you can separate the text a little bit. You can keep like numbers and stuff. And we'll take a look at that too. And this is what you get. You get a very clean bar. Now on this bar, what you can do is add the polar coordinates filter. It's basically the shader filter plugin. Let me turn that off. And as you can see, I made this like a square. So it was like 1000 by 1000 or something less. So I went to user defined shader. That's the shader filter plugin. I went to load shader text from file, browse, and I looked for polar. As you can see right there, polar shader, open. And this is what it gave me. From there, play around with everything. Mostly point Y. This is what's going to create the donut. All right, let's bring it all the way up and then pull this down, the scale. Okay, now you can rotate it if you want. Keep in mind that it's still gonna go this way. You can repeat it if you want. So you can probably create something that can be filled. The more subs you get, default value is 1. And that's how you get it. That's how you get the circular one. You just make it a square. And the way you make it a square is by double clicking on it. And you can see I have 1200 by 1200. That's probably like way too much, but as long as it's a square, it's gonna be fine. And you can see our custom CSS, no borders, no image, no metadata. Let me turn that back on. Cool. Now the question is, how do I get this super thin one? What I had to do is actually edit this specific shader file. Let me select it, go to filters, so that's polar, it's the same thing. And when you go to your shader filter, you have all of those shaders, right? Over 120. And when you find polar, what I did was right click, open with, and I opened it with Notepad just once. And here you're basically gonna have the code for the shader itself. My problem was my point Y was too limited. You can see here, the range is from -1 to 1. So what I did is just modify it so that it's -6 all the way up to 6. And that gives us way more range, as you can see here. So instead of being thick like that, I can lower the scale and bump this all the way up to have something thinner. Of course, you can bump it up even more. You can make it go all the way up to 10 if you want. Okay, now when it comes to the data, it's pretty much the same principle, except I had to use different code to hide other things. So let me double click on that. So border style none on goal widget, remove the border, remove the image. And then this weird XXJED is usually like one very, very specific part of the code. We might want to check. I'm guessing it's part of the background. So if I click here, you can see that right before the names, you also get this weird code. So Olifa here and JW blah, blah, blah here, reveal this. You will see that I have my XXJED, and that is just the sub goal text. If I want to remove just the sub goal and I want to keep the rest, then I just want to input this part and turn it off, which is what I did. Display none, made it important. Then goal widget progress bar, I made the background 0% opacity, so it's like completely invisible. I did the same thing for the goal widget, so background color transparent. And then goal widget contributions, which is this text, which is part of this text at least, I gave it that color. You don't have to, because you can use, you know, the color correction filter, but I just wanted to test it out. And of course, you will notice that because of the format, I made it 600 by 600. The number is going to be up top and then the text is going to be at the bottom. And honestly, like, I didn't want to spend more time on it, so I just cropped the bottom and boom, I have the data. I have the data here. I pretty much did the same thing here, just some smart cropping. Will it get out of line eventually? Possibly. But again, any CSS experts, if you want to do the time to research this and actually give us answers, I would love to hear you out. Anyways, I wanted this one to be pretty simple because if you watch my other video about sub goals, I showed you how to make like gradient animation and all that. But to be fair, having this directly in OBS and just using filters can already give you a bunch of options. For example, let's say that I just want the progress to be, oh, by the way, I should have showed you that. You can see that when I open this, it's showing that it's on the left side. All I had to do is right click, transform, flip horizontal. Okay, so right click, transform, flip horizontal. So yeah, I was saying that with different shaders and all that, let's see, let's add another shader filter and I want hue rotation. Okay, now I have RGB goal. Let's say that I want only the part of the progression bar to show. I could probably add a color key filter. This one comes with OBS. Go to custom color and then pick white. Play around with the smoothness a little bit and there you go. And now I have this thing that's gonna fill up with the number also going up while I'm streaming. But yeah, this is mostly like a temporary thing. It's just a way of me getting what I want before I take the time to actually research and learn the proper CSS code to make this work. And once I do, honestly, I will probably make a video to show you how to do it. So make sure you subscribe. And if you have any cool ideas, let me know about them in the comment section below. In the meantime, go out there, make me proud, Gael level out.